let's talk about the essential skill that everybody needs to regulate their nervous system. Hey, my name is Rochelle Walsh, and I have been a complex trauma therapist for many years. And if you're new to me, I now have a coaching program for women. First of all, what is nervous system regulation? And nervous system regulation is when we can live in a state of relaxed vigilance, meaning we are aware and connected to what's going on around us, and that we have parasympathetic nervous system dominance, rest and digest, rather than constantly being in fight, flight, or freeze, which is a state of hypervigilance. So this is super important because if you don't know this, living in a state of hypervigilance, chronic stress, burnout, overwhelm leads to not only lower life satisfaction, strain in relationships, but can spiral us into all kinds of physical health conditions because nervous system dysregulation is inflammation. Super important. So what is the essential skill that we must have if we are going to have a regulated nervous system? There's a few, right? But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to talk about a very common thing that's missed when we think about having a regulated nervous system. So what this is a sense of felt safety in the body and the ability to observe without reacting. Okay, so felt safety in the body. When someone is very hypervigilant, like very aware of everything that's going on around them, and this doesn't have to mean that they are super sensitive to sound or sirens or the potential for danger, though they probably are, but even hypersensitive to what might be going on with this person and what should I be doing over here and what should I be doing over here in a constant, I need to please, I need to perform, I need to fix for someone else, I need to be in overdrive, a constant outward focus. What happens is that they've become oftentimes disconnected from their own emotions, and instead they are trying to gain safety by attending to what's on the outside of them, fixing problems, being all things to all people, again, exacerbated sense of threat in the brain, even that if that threat is disapproval or I'm not performing the way I want to. And so this essential skill of being able to have felt safety, the ability to observe rather than respond to, is really key. So with chronic hypervigilance or a stress response, we know that there are underlying drivers, right, that are not held in the conscious brain, but they're held in the limbic system and in this, subconscious autopilot part of the brain. Well, when someone is outward focused, and like I said, they've maybe lost connection to awareness of what's going on, then they become aware, of course, when stress mounts to the point where they're feeling like an elephant is sitting on their chest, or they can't, they hyperventilate, or they feel pain in their stomach. And that pain is a sign that something needs to be paid attention to. So felt safety in the body is not only that I can observe pain and big sensations in my body, but that I can be aware of the nuances of how I move through emotions, how I experience sensation, and be present and observe it. For so many people, like when they're living in this state of hypervigilance, their body subconsciously feels these sensations or emotions, suppresses them, and the alarm system goes on, and they go into whatever pattern of relaxation, whatever they do to get out of that, to avoid inside. So it might be I need to fix everything for everyone. It might be I start scrolling. It might be all of a sudden feel like I need to get busy or do something, right, to calm down, check out. And so they're not attuned in a way that they can regulate. So felt safety is meaning I can be safe to experience my emotions. I can be safe to experience my sensations and my thoughts. We need awareness to do this. Well, as we develop this, as we start to tune in to the body and how emotions are registered in the body, what we do is we're strengthening a part of the brain called the insula that kind of feels into our sensation and brings us to being connected inside, not hijacked by sensation sensation, not overwhelmed by anxiety, but aware and connected to what's going on within us. Mind sight, aware of our thoughts. So the skill of being safe inside requires that we observe, and that we learn to observe without being hijacked by or going in the rabbit trail of thought connected to certain emotions. So you might be asking, how do we do this? It can be a little bit complicated if you're someone who's always had to meet the needs of others and didn't have a lot of help moving through emotions when you were young, because emotions are felt as sensations. Or if you've had a lot of trauma, this can be complicated because the way we deal with some things, trauma, is by becoming disconnected from this experience because there was something in the body, something in the emotional world that was too painful to feel. And so God graciously gave us brains that could deal with this by disconnecting or disassociating from those sensations. So, but to return you safe to your body, as Bessel van der Kolk said, is the ultimate resolution to trauma. So it can be a little bit complicated if somebody's internal experiences bring about a sense of fear or terror or memory of the pain. So we have to go slowly, but learning to do breath work combined with body scans where we're really feeling into sensation, moving through sensation, quieting the mind, bringing it back to a single focus, being able to observe sensations and then have certain things that we do that bring it down just a notch. So if we're feeling a sensation, being able to, without going into the story of it, be able to feel that sensation, do some things. There are many things we can do to lower it just a little bit, be present with it, and then learn compassionate responses. That's what allows us to develop this skill of having, observing and having safety within the body. This is so important for people to understand because so many times what happens, and I just have a strong conviction that this is not right and that this does a disservice to people, but people are slapped with a diagnosis, they're given a medication, which further numbs them. I'm not saying there's no one who ever benefits. I'm sure there are some people who do. But ultimately, we have to learn to be able to be connected with our experiences and feel safe to have emotions, feel safe to have experiences. If we cannot be safe in our internal experiences, we will get stuck in a state of hypervigilance, outward focus, where threat is optimized and heightened. So felt safety is a very important skill. We can learn it. Even if you didn't get it, even if you've had hard things that happen, it is a choice to learn these skills and to be able to practice them. You can't read a book on it. You can't wish it away. But you can practice it. You can practice being present with your sensations. You can practice calming things. You need to practice them enough daily that you build these new neural pathways and that you can really change things and reduce that firing of the lower brain that's keeping you in that vigilant state. But it is possible. You can learn it. There's hope for everyone. No one is too broken, too far gone. I don't believe that people should be labeled with all these different things that make them doubt whether or not it's possible for them, because it is. So anyway, felt safety, really important. It goes right along. It's the first thing we have to have. There's some other things we have to develop: emotional regulation and compassion for emotions, but felt safety is the first thing we need to do, is to drop back in the body, be able to move through sensations, be able to get back in that what we call threshold of tolerance, where we are able to stay vigilant, with a relaxed vigilance rather than hypervigilance. So I hope this is helpful. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more of this information. I do have a link for a masterclass below. I help women in a 90-day program, Joyful and Present, overcome overwhelm and chronic stress. So tune in for more information. Glad you're being here. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.